Right now, everyone's so mad at Charli D'Amelio, but how come TikTok's most famous teen, someone who rose to stardom as the unproblematic queen, is suddenly at the center of a harsh backlash? Is it a case of fame gone wrong? Or are we witnessing the darker side of internet culture? From being crowned the first TikTok creator to hit 100 million followers, to losing 1 million almost overnight, this is the story of how Charli went from beloved to hated, but why? This is what we will be discussing in today's story. This is Zefsine. In 2019, Charli D'Amelio was just another 15-year-old girl posting dance videos from her bedroom. She wasn't a professional choreographer or a celebrity offspring, just a regular high schooler in Connecticut with a passion for competitive dancing. Her moves were clean, her expressions relatable, and her style, well, it was simple but effective. Before anyone could fully comprehend it, Charli's TikToks were going viral, and her was skyrocketing. But why? Some said it was her girl-next-door charm, pretty but not intimidatingly so. Others claimed her dances were easy to follow, making her an approachable figure for TikTok's younger audience. And then there was this. Charli was consistent, she posted every day, she stuck to the trends, and she never overcomplicated things. But there was something else at play, a strange phenomenon that many internet stars experience. As her follower count grew, her fame began to fuel itself. She became the TikToker, and everyone on the app either wanted to imitate her or talk about her. Whether people were questioning her popularity, defending her in comment wars, or just creating memes about her, Charli's name was everywhere. And the more people talked about her, the bigger she got. By March 2020, she became the most followed person on TikTok, a crown she'd wear for over 2 years. She was breaking records left and right, becoming the first TikToker to hit 50 million followers, then 100 million. Charli wasn't just a content creator, she was TikTok's golden child, its face, its biggest success story. But, as they say, the higher you climb, the harder the fall. The internet loves a good fall from grace story, and Charli's came seemingly out of nowhere. It started with an innocent family dinner, a YouTube video titled Dinner with the D'Amelios, featuring Charli, her sister Dixie, their parents, and YouTuber James Charles as a guest. The setup seemed harmless enough. A personal chef prepared a fancy meal, and the family chatted around the table. But the internet doesn't need much to spark outrage. A few clips from the video quickly went viral, painting the D'Amelio sisters as ungrateful and immature. In one clip, Dixie dramatically gagged and even threw up after trying the chef's escargot dish. In another, Charli asked, "Do we have any dino nuggets?" seemingly unimpressed with the gourmet meal. But the moment that really struck a nerve, Charli casually mentioning that it would be cool to hit 100 million followers on the anniversary of reaching her first million. The backlash was immediate and brutal. People called them spoiled, entitled, and rude. TikTok users flooded the comment sections of their videos with hate. The hashtags cancel Charli and D'Amelio's exposed started trending. Even people who had never watched the dinner video jumped on the bandwagon, taking the supercut clips at face value. And then it got worse. Within days, Charli lost nearly 1 million followers. Some users told her to quit TikTok altogether, while others crossed a horrifying line, sending her death threats. Let that sink in for a moment. A 16-year-old girl was receiving death threats over asking for chicken nuggets. Charli did what many public figures do in moments like this. She apologized. But unlike other influencer apologies that can feel rehearsed or insincere, Charli's was raw and emotional. She went live on Instagram, tearfully addressing the backlash and pleading with people to remember that she's still just a human being. Blatantly disrespecting the fact that I'm still a human being is not okay at all, she said, holding back tears. I feel like it's not that hard to just be nice. You can say I'm disrespectful. You can say I don't have basic human decency. But at the end of the day, I'm still a person no matter how many followers I have. It was hard to watch. Here was a teenager barely old enough to drive, having to justify her existence to millions of strangers. Sure, she had fame, money, and opportunities most people her age could only dream of, but was that enough to justify the level of hatred she was receiving? For many, Charli's tearful response served as a wake-up call. The girl who had once been praised for her relatability and kindness was now being torn apart for what? Acting like a normal teenager? Of course, not everyone was moved by her apology. Some critics doubled down, calling it damage control or accusing her of playing the victim. But the question lingered: why had this relatively minor incident blown up into such a massive controversy in the first place? To understand why Charli D'Amelio became such a lightning rod for hate, we need to look beyond the surface of the dinner video. The truth is, this wasn't really about escargot or dino nuggets. It was about what Charli represented: a teenage girl at the pinnacle of internet fame, a symbol of TikTok's rapid rise, and a reminder of how quickly the online world can turn on you. In many ways, Charli became a scapegoat for people's frustrations during a particularly difficult time, the height of the pandemic. Stuck at home, bored and anxious, millions of people turned to social media for entertainment and distraction. Gossiping about influencers became a way to pass the time, and Charli, with her massive following and squeaky clean image, was an easy target. But there's another layer to this story, the darker side of what started as legitimate criticism of Charli's behavior quickly spiraled into something much more toxic. Death threats, hateful comments, and demands for her to quit TikTok altogether weren't just disproportionate, they were cruel. It's one thing to hold public figures accountable, it's another to dehumanize them entirely. And then there's the age factor. Charli wasn't just an influencer, she was a teenager, navigating the pressures of fame while still figuring out who she was. It's easy to forget that when you're watching someone through a screen, but the reality is, Charli was still growing up. Her ungrateful comments at the dinner table weren't proof of some deep moral failing, they were proof that, at the end of the day, she was just a kid. Charli D'Amelio's rise and fall, and rise again, isn't just a story about one influencer. It's a reflection of our culture's obsession with fame, perfection, and outrage. On TikTok, she was celebrated for being a normal teenager, but when she acted like one, the internet turned against her. Her story is a cautionary tale about the cost of internet stardom, especially for young creators. But here's the thing, Charli didn't disappear. She kept creating, kept dancing, and kept proving that she's more than just her controversies. And maybe that's the biggest lesson of all. For every hateful comment, there's someone cheering you on. For every cancel hashtag, there's a comeback waiting to happen. Charli's journey isn't over, it's just evolving. So, the next time we see someone like Charli in the spotlight, maybe we should ask ourselves, are we lifting them up or are we just waiting for them to fall? Because as much as this story is about Charli, it's also about us and how we choose to treat the people behind the screen.